JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. I'm taking a break from preparing for my employee retention tax credit seminar. I'll put a link in the body of this video to that seminar. But the future of PPP is being permanently rescinded in a bill that has already passed the Senate. Now, hang on a second, JJ. What do you mean rescinded? PPP ended May 31st. Banks had till June 30 to fund it. PPP is over. You're right. But we know that when PPP was provided for in 2020, and then they put more money into it in 2020, there was funds left over in 2020. They took those funds that were left over and fed it into the PPP that we got in 2021. We know that with the overall PPP program, whether for 20 or for 21, there were certain dollar amounts allocated. We know that PPP, in essence, ran out. So you would think, well, how's there anything left over, JJ? Well, there's monies left over because there was plenty of monies that were loaned out but won't be forgiven. Therefore, monies left in the PPP program. There's going to be those that got PPP incorrectly. So there's going to be money left in the PPP program. What this bill does is basically permanently rescinded, that's what it indicates, any unobligated PPP funds to, in essence, be used for other purposes. Why is this key? The reason it's key is that if this bill passes the House and becomes law, then anything left over in PPP will not go towards any type of stimulus specific to PPP. My hope is that the leftover monies for PPP would be then redirected to help the small businesses that are still in need, and most notably the self-employed that filed for PPP before they changed the rule in March that allowed you to get PPP based on your gross income. For 2020 and then up into the point at the beginning of March of 2021, those that were self-employed filing Schedule C got PPP based on their net income, Schedule C line 31, assuming they had no other employees. They changed it to be based on gross income line 7 on Schedule C, which obviously would provide more PPP funds. Now, the maximum that anybody can get as a Schedule C filer on their self-employed income would be $20,833. That is the formula of $100,000 being the max beginning figure to the calculation, divided by 12 times 2.5. Why is that important? Well, with PPP, knowing that specific to the Schedule C filer, the maximum that they can get is $20,833. Well, if they got PPP previously based on their net income, it is very easily that they got less, maybe way less than $20,833. So giving Schedule C filers a little bit more relief that didn't have the opportunity to go back and reapply because it was disallowed, did not have the opportunity to go back and get PPP based on their gross. It would be great if there's any leftover PPP funds that they would go potentially specific to that group. So it to us and maybe to Congress, it's like, well, there's only going to be, 100 million left, or, $500,000 left, or whatever the case is, right? There are those that can still benefit from that even at the Schedule C level. When we're really looking at if the max a Schedule C filer can get is $20,833 and they only got 10 grand, and so maybe they could get another 10 grand, that's a lot of Schedule C filers that potentially could benefit from, in essence, the leftovers from PPP. So I'm going to be technical with you for a minute and tell you what you can do about it, which is really quite simply, in a very constructive way, reaching out to your congressperson or your senator. You can do it by tweet. You'll be able to see my tweets, and I have a post on Facebook that you can either share or copy. And in the body of this video, I'm going to give you two sentences that you can include to include the very specific or technical language if you so choose to do a tweet, or if you want to contact by phone or email or fax your congressperson or senator. But simply in Senate Bill H.R. 3684, in section 90007, subparagraph D is in dog and subparagraph G is in goat, it indicates that any unobligated PPP funds out of, in essence, the CARES Act and the amended CARES Act will no longer be available for PPP. It's permanently rescinding unobligated funds that will then go to other governmental purposes. Now, right now, there's a lot going on in D.C. related to spending money, spending government money on America or Americans. We have the infrastructure bill, and then we also have another bill that is at the House level. Now, this Senate bill, it has passed the Senate. The House, the Speaker of the House, has promised that it will be voted on or before September 27th. So I'll be reminding you of this as we get into September, as they are coming back to DC, but it would be helpful if you at least now put it on your senator or congressperson's radar. What's interesting is that although you're not going to find a hard statistic of this, things that I've read over time is that a single tweet from you as a constituent is typically representing 7,000 constituents. So when you make a comment, you may think, well, I don't know that they heard it or they care. Well, they typically would see that as, well, if one thinks that, then maybe 7,000 roughly think that. And the numbers go higher if you do a phone call or a fax or an email. That one request represents to them thousands and thousands of constituents that probably feel the same way. See, nowadays it's rare that our congresspersons and senators are being reached out to by, in essence, ordinary citizens, meaning we're not political maneuverists, we're not trying to do a political action committee here, not trying to have a political movement. What we're talking about is, in this specific set of circumstances, is that any leftover PPP funds not be permanently rescinded from its purpose as it was put into the CARES Act and the amended CARES Act. What we would like to request is that in that section that I indicated to you, that those funds be still kept in the Paycheck Protection Program, and a new group of small business owners, potentially Schedule C filers specifically, would be able to benefit from any leftovers. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you subscribe. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. Now, I'll tell you this right now. You made it to here, okay? None of that's political. This is talking about supporting the small business owner. This is talking about supporting the self-employed. Contacting your congressperson or your senator, even if they're in a different party from you, doesn't matter. You're a constituent. You have a voice. Maybe you're not a recipient of PPP or you're not self-employed. Even if you spoke and just said, hey, like it if you do this, you're still helping those around you, neighboring small businesses,